Welcome to Breaking Boundaries podcast. I'm Matt Colomer here with my co-host Raphael Avjolu. On this podcast, we interview people that are pushing themselves and testing their limits within art, business, and entrepreneurship.
What drives you, what pushes you to your breaking point, and what got you to where you are right now? This is Breaking Boundaries podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Breaking Boundaries podcast. I'm your host, Matt Colomer, here with my co-host, Raphael Avjolu.
What's up?
And we actually just started the podcast a couple minutes ago, but we weren't recording. So, that's one of the things that you run into when you're recording video and audio and all this fun stuff. But anyway, we are graced by the presence of Ryan Kelley, aka Wire by Ryan. It's his business. He's a wire sculptor. His stuff is amazing. And why don't we just have him introduce himself? So what's up, Ryan?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
I'm super pumped to be here. I just can't wait to keep going.
Hell yeah. So what is it exactly that you do? Because I just saw your work. So can you explain a little bit about what you do?
Yeah. So for the last 7 years, I've been a professional wire artist and metal sculptor. And basically that means I bend metal for money. It's pretty dope.
Stuff is awesome.
Thank you. So I primarily make wire trees on cut stone bases, anywhere from like 6 inches to like 4 feet. Mm-hmm. In the last 7 years, I've done over 400 pieces that are in homes across America and then around the world, which is pretty cool.
So wild. Like, so how does one like even get into doing something like this, and like where did this all begin?
Sure. It's I've always been super hands-on in school, like puzzles. My mom worked at a toy store when we were younger, so she would always bring home like Rubik's cubes and puzzles and clay and like all the classic stuff. Mm-hmm. But then I did mallet percussion in high school, so I was always like using my hands. Yeah, hell yeah. But that kind of translated into 11th grade. I did horrible. I just didn't learn like everybody else, and then 12th grade I was like, I just need to pass. So I had like 4 core classes and then studies the rest of the day. So I just spent it in the art room, 12th grade, and messed around. The teacher, Robin Verrett, was super easygoing, allowed me to just kind of do my own thing. And that turned into, the second I graduated, being involved with the Newburyport Art Association, which is an awesome organization, nonprofit art gallery in my city that I'm on the board now. So it's just been a wild journey, but basically for the lack of something better to do, I found art and it just worked out.
Yeah, well, for the sake of the podcast, I mean, like, how does one even go, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make money at it, maybe not, I don't know, is anyone going to like it, who knows, is this the one thing I want to do, was it like for sure, or was it like, I'll just keep doing this?
It was, I didn't even think about the money. I just was like, man, I want to do something that makes me feel better than I feel right now. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Were you depressed?
I think it was a mixture of like depression, but also like the anxiety of not knowing what I wanted to do. Because I think the pressure, obviously, like we're all artists, we all get it. Yeah. It's tough. Like my brother, incredible musician, shout out to Hound. He's cool. Definitely
He's the man.
Listening. Yeah, I can't wait for him to be home for Christmas. So he, we in school, my parents were high school sweethearts. They did marching band. My brother and I did marching band. But I like didn't know what I wanted to be. I wanted to just like be happy. I wanted to just kind of do my thing. And my parents are entrepreneurs in their own ways. And I think that kind of stuck with me. And I think being a musician too. So basically our whole family does it. But self-starters, being your own boss, like I've worked a bunch of different jobs and you learn every one, and hindsight's 20/20. So you kind of like connect the scatter plot after and it makes sense. But now in the moment it doesn't. Yeah. So I just was like, let's do something fun, and I was decent at it, and then I didn't even think about the money or the business until after I graduated. And then every day it's a hustle, and you go from a $5 thing to a $50 thing to 5,000 plus pieces, and so it's
and like and I know from your story, like when you say graduated, you're talking about high school too. You didn't even go to college at all.
No.
So that's like a good thing to talk about too, where I think a lot of people myself included, Raphael too, like we both went to college, and it's interesting to hear like an approach from someone like you that was like kind of just jumped into like what they were doing, because we were actually talking about that earlier in another podcast.
Right. Yeah. I didn't go to college. It was something that I barely made it through high school, so I was like, maybe not the best step right now.
Did you think maybe eventually?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I always get asked that. I always get asked if I go and, I'll go and visit local schools and teach art or wire or, how to fill up like a vape.
How to fill up a vape.
I didn't ace that class, actually.
No, it's a tough class. I do it with
grace.
With grace.
So when I go and visit, like a lot of the students I'm talking to, I'm like, I didn't go to college, but like you probably should. I mean, in all honesty, for something, just the way the world's going. But if you choose not to, it's not what you do, it's like how you do it. My parents were so inspiring with the quality of life.
And what do they do?
How you feel. So my dad has done everything, cabinet making. He worked for TGI Fridays, but now we have a high-end metal work. But now we basically do high-end like concierge level real estate management for really wealthy families. But we have a very select few. So it's the quality. It's like the Jerry Maguire kind of mentality, where it's like the quality of the work over the quantity. So for me, that's only the last 4 years. So it's really like kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
For me, so seeing them grow, and I work for them sometimes too. So I'm in $1 million homes, a lot, and that quality, it really changes your mindset.
Really?
I think it's like an environmental thing. I think if you live in like a regular apartment or thing, but you don't realize what's out there, you don't have anything to shoot for.
Yeah.
So for me, like that's what social media is great too, because you can see those incredible photographers you follow. You can see the inspiration, and I'm a very like hands-on experiential learner. Yeah. So for me, I have to be able to walk in and see it and be like, now I get it.
Yeah. I was going to say, we were talking yesterday about the creative versus the entrepreneur side of things, and like how to focus on both, or what's more important, or whatever. I think me sitting on more of like, I think a little bit more of my mind is spent. I know a lot of more of my time has been spent on the creative side of things, but it's seeing on social media these artists. So like, there's always this discussion: are you a photographer or are you an artist? Because if you go into a corporate setting and you go, I'm an artist, then they'll be like, get out. It's just different. So like, in a corporate setting or at a wedding, I'm a photographer, but in my own right, I'm an artist. And,
it's a square rectangle.
Right. And so it's, exactly. So like, but I've seen that people have done it. I've seen people my age and younger who are getting recognized in the more fine art community that have done it, that have made a living doing it, that are being in galleries and being shown at Art Basel and these different things, doing it, creating this work. So why not me? And if I didn't know that existed at all, then I'd probably think that it is a dead end.
Right. Exactly. And that's what the cool thing about these kids when you go in. I used to work for the Newburyport Youth Services for the last 5 years. So I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of like elementary and middle school and high school age kids.
That's really cool.
And I wish I had me now when I was in 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
I probably would have been way different.
Oh, yeah.
But when you go in and you talk to all these kids, they're probably, when they get out of college or high school, they're going to have a job that doesn't exist right now.
Yeah. Just
with the way that technology is going in the job field. So if you can keep their horizons open and their mentality open, when I walked in, I was at Amesbury Middle School with 150 8th graders. The first 3 words I said was, who plays Fortnite?
Yeah.
90%, obviously.
Yeah.
And I said, I have friends who work for Epic.
Yeah.
Like, immediately grab them. This is how they can relate. So as a kid, it's like, you just got to go with the majority rule here. But like, that's what they have to see and then you raise who has social media. 80%. Who has Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. So, and these are 8th graders. Yeah. So you have to be able to get on their level. And obviously that's not my usual clientele.
Right.
But when you're showing them Like, this is what I do. This is what I do. They're posting funny videos. Some of them already have YouTube channels. Like, they're so far advanced than we are.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so think about where they're going to be, you know, in the next 10 years. One of those kids could be incredibly well-known and social media famous.
Yeah.
We don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
So I just shoot that out there.
When we were little kids, we didn't have that, really, you know.
I mean, what was MySpace? I didn't even have MySpace.
I had MySpace and AOL and Facebook and all that stuff like that, but I wasn't, like, seeing all of that all the time.
Right.
And so, Matt, you said you didn't get a smartphone until the end of college. I didn't get one until the end of high school.
Same.
And when I got one, I definitely feel like my kind of doors were open to, like, editing phone apps and taking pictures on your phone and digital manipulation. That's kind of how I got started with doing that.
Yep.
But, I mean, for something so, especially, okay, like, there isn't... You shouldn't be going into photography or videography for the money. You shouldn't. But there is money there to be had.
For sure.
But things like painting, sculpting, metalwork, woodwork, that's an even more, like, I feel like, how are you going to do this? Like, what's going on?
It's more like unknown, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need it, right? Right. I mean, there are people, and I think I'm jaded by... Again, like the clientele my parents have and living in the world where like I have a collection of art at 25. Yeah. You know, I have a closet right now before I move into the place that I'm like building and designing in the next 5 years. Like I have a $30,000 client of art that I've collected in the past 7 years. And that's just from friends. Yeah. I didn't necessarily always pay for it because it was traded and bartered, which is like the amazing thing about artists. Yeah. Which is why we're definitely cool. Yeah. But it's like that's the level. That's the level that you need to realize. And the second you say, oh, you know, I won't make a ton of money with this, you're already not going to. It's a very universal thing, right? For sure. So for me, it's like, you know, every year my dad jokes about it. He's like, you know, if you had if $1,500 was the highest dollar value on a piece last year, you're going to double it next year. Yeah. Because that's just basic business. But also it's a state of mind. So for me, if I go out saying my stuff is only worth X, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. I went from $50 pieces to $1,000 pieces to $2,000 pieces, and now I'm over $4,000. And that's just on like an average, not an average. I wish it was. That'd be amazing. But like in a year, like that is a dollar value that I got for one project. Yeah. And that's just the beginning. And it's not that I make all that. And obviously, as anybody that's listening or watching, that's an entrepreneur. Costs of doing business and overhead and all that stuff definitely cuts in, but it allows you to get that upper thing and it gets you those bigger budget kind of productions. You know, my usual pieces are for residential. The wire is $0.01 or 3 cents a foot because I cost it out. Yeah. Because I buy miles a year. Yeah. I'm up to over 50 in 7 years. Wow. Yeah.
Miles?
Cool. Yeah. I think that's how much I've used. I've used. Wow. I really try to think about it. The huge, I should have brought a book, dude. I could have shown it. Yeah. But I have like a book that I just finished, which is called Twists and Turns. And it's the story of like how I created the biggest piece that I have right now, which that piece alone has 3.25 miles of wire in it. Wow. Which I'm sure we can put up.
You made a book about that?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I didn't even know this.
Yeah, it was on my show because you were gone, dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's been busy. That was my big. I had a solo show in November in Newport, and I like sold out half the pieces. It was incredible. That's amazing. I'm still like reeling from it.
So super stoked about it.
Yeah. Damn. So the piece, like, that big piece that I have, is obviously hopefully worth a lot of money, but for me it's like a flagship. I'm okay with having it. One, I love it. Yeah. Obviously, because it took 200 hours to make. Yeah. But two, it's like I bring that somewhere, and you know, if you rolled out to somewhere and you had 30 seconds of their attention, it's an advertisement, you'd show them the best video. You'd show them the best photo that you thought. Right. For me, that is the best piece I've made so far. Yeah. Yet. Yeah. It's the power of yet. Yeah. So if I can do that now, not only does it kind of good, better, best sell other pieces because they're like, well, this is this much, but now this is only this much. Right. But also somebody can look at that and say, I want it twice the size. Yeah. So if you don't give them, like, art is hard. You can't look at a wedding photographer and be like, oh, he did this one shot. Yeah. He definitely couldn't do this. Yeah, and then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. So it's like, when I go to shows or I have an event or something like that, or even on social media, I get commissioned a lot of my work. So people trust in me that if I could make XYZ, I could make ABC. Yeah. So you have to constantly have this rolling thing, and being self-taught, that's how I learn.
Right.
Because if something worked out really well maybe I'll try a little bit different technique here. Or
Yeah.
I totally bombed this one. Time to learn from that and never do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. How are we doing? We're good on time?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, obviously here we talk about breaking boundaries.
True.
What do you feel like in the past 7 years? I mean, definitely could be outside related stuff or what have you, but in the past 7 years, do you feel like, I mean, because I've only been doing photography for almost 4 years, and I mean, the crap that it's been, and I'm gonna continue to do it because I love it. But I mean, man, has there been times where I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
So-
I think everybody goes through that.
Yeah, of course.
And
I know
I think
that,
if
and I know
you-
that everyone goes through that, so that's why I asked.
And then you feel good about it because you're like, oh, I'm not the only one.
No,
and
of
it still
course.
sucks.
Of course, yeah. It doesn't change the fact, but
yeah.
where do you feel like it was for you, or
I don't
has
think-
been so far for you? Like,
Yeah.
a
I don't
point?
think it's one time.
Yeah.
I actually think it's like a constant thing because I think having that, you don't want to lift one heavy rep because you won't be able to do it. But if you do a lot of light reps often, like you build yourself up, even though I don't work out, don't quote me on that.
No.
I'm not a kinesthesiologist or whatever.
But
But,
good example of like,
Yeah, so
analogy.
for me, is the one thing I have. I don't know, but for me, I think the little struggles and hurdles, weekly, monthly, whatever, build you up for the oh crap moments.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky. I mean, I can't talk about my parents enough for the support.
Yeah.
Obviously, same with my brother. This community around me, the both social media community and also my physical community in the city. Meeting people like you guys and hanging out with friends, even just that as an artistic recharge. My friend Christine Bannon, who's incredible, and she'll definitely share this. We try to do like these artistic like battery recharge retreats. Like we went up to Portland, Maine for like a day.
Very good.
And you got to get yourself out of your element. And if you're constantly buried in your head in the computer and shooting and everything, like you got to go wide, you know?
That is such a good point. Like
you have to, even if it's like an hour a day, like
you have to
just
get
be
away.
like, whoa, what am I, like big picture?
Yeah.
Because you get tunnel visioned.
Yeah.
That's like very hard. And I think now with social media and all that stuff, it can be even easier to fall into that.
Definitely.
And I see it happen with like myself all the time. I'm like, oh, I want to do these, I want to make these videos. And then I get really wrapped into it. And then I don't see that at that point, the wider view. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not doing what I need to do to feel good.
Yeah.
Like take a break from this,
Yeah.
go exercise, go socialize with people.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to like know and be very firm with yourself. Like, you know what? I need to pull myself away from this.
Yeah.
And I'll actually be better, ironically, at the craft by taking this break.
Right.
And then also, like you said, you just like kind of like get a release from it.
You do.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and this is what I've heard before, is like, we're going to take a break in 1 minute, but I want to talk about this point real quick, is like when you're doing that, and when you're like actually living life and like going through challenges and putting yourself in situations that aren't just on your computer and through a screen, and you're living life like that, you'll actually create better art because you're
For sure.
experiencing things. You're not just
well-rounded.
You're not just in your freaking room making a piece, or you're not just in your room editing a photo or a video.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to be worldly.
Yeah,
So it's like
definitely.
Balance.
it's definitely it's an interesting thing. So we're going to talk about this more. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Perfect. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to Breaking Boundaries podcast. Really hope you're enjoying this episode with wire sculptor Ryan Kelley. This guy is amazing. One of my favorite dudes out there. Go check out his website, Wire by Ryan. He has some amazing pieces on there. This guy is a true artist, and we really think you should check out his work. You can also check out his Instagram page at Wire by Ryan. And also, I want to shout out to my good friend Connor Regan, who suggested using this little transition when we have to stop recording to reset our cameras, using this transition to promo and talk about our guests. I think it's a really good idea to plug our guests as much as we can, and why not use this little intermission to do so. And once again, I want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. You guys are awesome. And I hope we can continue to share our stories and the stories of our guests and to inspire you guys to pursue all your dreams and everything that you are aiming to do in your lives. So, yeah, let's get back to the podcast. Enough of me talking. And, I hope you enjoy the second part of Breaking Boundaries podcast, episode 7 with Ryan Kelley. All right, guys, we are back with the Breaking Boundaries podcast. And we were just talking about a pretty important topic related to... Can you remind me what we were talking about, guys?
Yeah, I knew you were just like stumbling upon it.
He was waiting for it.
I don't know, but I don't know.
Oh, we're talking about being an artist and not getting too sucked into the work?
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
I remember.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say that throughout time, like, I've actually done everything for photo. So if I'm out at the bar with friends, all I'm thinking in my mind is, this is good that I'm socializing because it will help me with photography.
Right.
I'm not socializing to socialize. If I'm exercising because I can be more focused in my work.
Yeah.
And it's like becomes that obsession that everything is linked into, so much to the point, for me at least, that I was like, yes, I should be dating someone because dating someone would be a good, healthy thing to be in, It'd
write you a good Taylor Swift song if you were a musician.
Yeah, yeah, right? Yeah, so I don't know, everything just became wrapped around, how do I do this?
Yeah. It's focused though.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to zoom out sometimes.
Yeah.
I try. Usually it involves food.
Yeah.
And
which we're about to get in a little bit.
Yeah, that was our first stipulation, guys. Just full disclosure. I asked what we were getting for food because I literally provide food every time I do something like this.
Hell yeah. Well, it's...
When you have a fork, knife, and spoon tattoo, you gotta take it seriously.
Hey. Well, it's so much for me at least, on I would say weekly basis, because I was just talking in the podcast before about how I will watch Netflix in the corner as I edit,
Right.
But sometimes I will just full screen the Netflix and be like, no, I'm gonna watch this thing, and that's me going okay, I'm taking this mental break so that I can focus better later or whatever. But
fresh eyes.
I think that's something that it can be hard for a lot of people that are in this field, myself included. Sometimes I'm like, should I just spend more hours doing my thing, doing video and doing photography and all that, because I'm just gonna get better every minute that I spend doing this, which is true. But it's it's hard sometimes to know when you need to. I need to take a step back, and then be better and be more recharged with it. And sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? Even last night I was gonna watch a show or something. I take a break, watch a show. And then I ended up, but only after I finished this little edit that I need to finish. And then all of a sudden, that's all I did.
Yeah.
And then I was I think I need to go to bed now. Which, not a bad thing. I got more practice and I got the thing done that I wanted to get done. But I didn't take that, watch the show, mental break type thing that I intended to.
Yeah, I did the opposite. I had friends over, and then I played Fortnite until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up at 7:30 for this. So fresh eyes, guys.
But you even know more so than either of us, because you're working with your hands. You can only work for so long with your hands.
Then
I'm sure you can go for hours, but
controllers.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even count. You're right. It's a physical fatigue thing. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think your eyes, if you're recording and you're staring, you got it.
Man.
Oh my god.
I'm a big. So I don't. I like your setup with the screen though, but I don't have that. In my workshop, in my parents' basement, I have a TV off to the corner, and then I have my workbench in the middle. You've seen it. It's
sick. I like it.
It's a good spot for now. But for me, that's my anti-fatigue, because if I stared like this, 6 inches away, a lot of my detailed stuff is up close and personal. But having the TV on in the background is so helpful. One, because I really enjoy television. I know you guys were talking with Alex about different movies and stuff.
Yep.
I love TV. I love movies. It's an art form. It's inspiring to me. I watch mostly educational television. So many good shows about design and art, and
I like documentaries where I'm learning stuff. Yeah.
But having it on the background is so great, because you can, for me, I can stare for 3 seconds and stare for 2 seconds, and that lets me go for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because my prime time is 10 to 2 in the morning. I'm always up till at least 1.
Yeah, same. And I'll sit back on we went to a meetup the other night, and I'm okay, editing, and I'm boom, got my edits, got my Netflix, and that way you know, people like will look at my page and be like, oh, you're always doing something so crazy. No, not always. I'm constantly just color grading and sharpening and doing basic edits, or I have to edit like 4,000 photo like conventions. So it's just like, that's just literally brightening, exposure, lighting, shading, super simple stuff. But it's repetitive, but it's something so mindless that I don't really need to pay attention that much. I'm just like, you know, like just doing it.
Swapping back and forth.
But getting back to like the whole like, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because like last week or whenever I make my new calendar,
I was gonna say that's very impressive that you write it all out.
I have Google Calendar, but I need to write it on like always seeing it type thing as well.
That's smart.
But like whenever I first write it out, sometimes, and it's not always because I'm usually a little bit planned ahead, but like sometimes I write out my calendar and I'm like, it's blank. What's going on? What's going on? I'm like, oh, what's going on? What am I fucking doing this month? You know? And I'm like, you're a failure. You're not doing shit. You're not doing anything. You know,
that's your entrepreneur spirit, though.
Yeah. But it's
some people see the blank and they're like, party.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Awesome.
For sure. Like, but it's but then like so like last week I felt like what are you even doing? Like what you don't have like a gig lined up right here, and this isn't going on. Yeah. And then like 3 days later, my fucking calendar is like filling up like crazy. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm killing it, you know? And my attitude is just like, and it's just like, it's
just the life.
So I agree with you in the whole, like, that it's not really like a time, but can you think back to a time where you maybe weren't creating as much as you are 100%. Now, and what, you know?
100%. I even have I have months where I don't do anything. Yeah. Even now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a consumer-based business for the most part. Sure. I try to intersperse the classes. I try to visit schools. I try to, like, do community stuff, you know, whenever I can. I try to have some projects where, like, I do a lot of dedication projects, like memorial walls and stuff. So that's, like, every 6 months you have, like, to add more, which is great.
Yeah.
But for me, like, moving up to I left my, like, part-time job in October. November was my solo show. But even between those and like a little bit before, like I had basically no art besides the stuff for my show.
Yeah.
And for someone with like a business, like you got to worry about your cash flow and your income. So for me, you know, the month or so of downtime to really focus on my show, not making any money, but making pieces, was totally worth it when I sold a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because then I could pay off everything and still have a profit.
Yeah.
But for me, I like the waves, and I try now that I'm taking art more seriously and I have more time because I don't have that other job, for me to be able to already looking at April, already looking at next winter.
Yep.
You know, who knows? That's the thing in our business is like people who work a 9 to 5 will never understand the power of like checking your email.
Yeah.
Or your DMs, because I have gotten emails that was like, that's 2 months worth of work.
Yep.
There we go. Like paid for, done. Yep. And it's such a fulfilling thing, but it's also kind of like scary.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because the weight of that, like you check every day, like I'm always on my phone. People give me crap for it or not, but like if I'm posting a story at 2:00, it's because I'm up at 2:00 in the morning. You know, if I'm posting something like after this, I'm so pumped to do a little teaser or whatever, because I care, and I think I hold myself accountable. That was the thing with me in high school too, is I have to be my boss. Yeah. Because if I'm a bad boss of myself, how could I ever work for somebody else or do anything else or like be a good client or a leader? Because you know, I'm lucky that being involved in the community, knowing how to speak with wealthy people, business owners, other artists, like we speak different languages, everybody, and you have to be a chameleon of how you communicate. Yeah. And how you communicate is how you're perceived, and then how you're perceived is like what your value is. Yeah. So for me, it's like that rolling thing. And I want to be able to be chill and fun and, you know, hang out with kids and do whatever for fun. But then at the same time, be able to walk into a meeting and have, you know, $10,000 project, $15,000, you know, up and above, because you're not going to ceiling yourself to have that professionalism of, you know, I'm white gloving this piece into a $3 million house because it's freaking worth it.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself out there. So you have to be able to do everything. And I'm the same person though. You have to be genuine too. And that was my biggest thing too, is I didn't have a ton of like close friends. I wasn't popular or famous in school. But now that I've found myself and I'm
this kid
growing
knows
myself.
Everybody. Ryan knows everybody. Bro.
I don't know everybody, but I'd like to.
Yeah.
And for me, it's I'll say this: my
huge
dad,
network of people for sure.
Yeah.
and you've only seen sadly a part of it, which I want to keep.
No, it's
going
not
more.
sadly. It's just like amazing, honestly.
Yeah, in Newport, Mass. Next time we shoot, do it there. I'd love to take us all out.
Really sick.
But yeah, for me, it's like in our business with my parents, and in life, having that. Here's the situation. Here's how to fix it. Cause and effect.
Yeah.
When you have the cell phone number or the contact of the exact right thing that you need, it's the right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
If something just came up, I need to shoot. Boom, I know who to call. If something came up for my parents and our clients' water boiler is blowing up in their basement, we have 24-hour service on every single property that we do because we know exactly how to fix it.
Yeah.
So if I can be in a situation where a client comes to me and says, hey, this is a $5,000 project. I need to do this crazy thing and you've never done it before. It needs to be done in 2 weeks. Who the heck am I going to call to make that happen? I need to know the metal guys, the photographers, the woodworkers, the programming, CNC, AutoCAD. Like there's so many different things that I've done even this last year that are way different than anything I've done. I did a first outdoor piece that's on the rail trail in Newport. So that had solid steel that I'm cutting with water and doing all this stuff. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But I know people that do, and I pay them because once I get paid, everybody gets paid. It's like really does work out that way.
Yeah.
So I'm just super lucky that in my artistic travels, I've made friends, and those friends are also entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Whether it be woodworking, photography, metalworking, videography, and I really try to make it as like co-positive as possible because when it's the rising tide raises all the ships. So for me, I'm a one-man team when I'm by myself at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
But Wired by Ryan could not be done if it wasn't for so many other people.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing of artists is you can be unique and work with others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is sometimes tricky. And I'm sure you guys have seen that on social media too, where it's
Sure.
screw everybody else. Like, I'm going to do my thing, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but can somebody come meet up with me? And I need a model and all this. Is like, dude, if you go in with the right attitude and you know it's going to be mutually beneficial, it will always be better.
It's always collaborative, and
I couldn't agree more.
And like I've talked about this a bunch of times, but you know more than anyone about the networking.
Yeah.
Like like how big is that? Because
it's biggest.
I was talking to a photographer that I met the other day, and I was like, yeah, I mean, even if you're not even that good,
right?
I mean,
you have a huge
ideally
network.
You want to be good,
right,
at whatever you do.
I know exactly where you're going.
But yeah, it's like there's someone that's a 5 out of 10 photographer skill wise,
but 10 out of 10.
But they're a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 at networking. They are gonna
they're
surpass
be busy every
by
year.
miles.
Yeah.
That guy who's a 10 out of 10. I'm so good. My art is so good. It looks so good.
Right.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. You don't know how to market yourself. You don't know how to network.
Or nobody wants to work with you.
Or no one wants to work with you. Or you just like you don't try to like expand your social circle. Or you're too scared. You don't know how to approach people. Or you don't try. So you stay in your house and you just keep taking photos. Maybe you meet up with a few people.
Or you push people away with just your personality. Maybe you go out, but people aren't around you.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Is like I want to go out and see social circles.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm really lucky. I've been involved with like the Newport Chamber for this last little bit, but in that I've met a lot of other local, non-artistic people.
Yeah.
Like I have some great friends, Sarah and Callie. They own like a female co-working space called Top Knots. And so they're doing this whole pro-feminism,
That's so cool.
movement of like women need a place to work. Like this is us and this is their thing. They do hair and makeup on the side. They do weddings. We did a whole wedding style shoot where I was like the odd man out. Like I brought my copper roses and there was like literally 10, 15, 20 people there with smoke bombs and like all these crazy photographers. And I was like, I'm just the metal guy. Like,
that's
but
sick.
I put myself in that situation to grow. Like you have to do stuff that makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
And I want to be the youngest too.
Right.
I like being the youngest, dumbest person in a room because if you're surrounded by smarter people, you're gonna go up. If you're surrounded by dumber people, you're gonna go down.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like
You are the 5 people you hang out with.
It's it. You're the 5 people you surround. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Totally
and it's
true.
like that's you see people hanging out with people that are just not really going anywhere, and they're just kind of, like doing stuff that you don't want. You wouldn't want your kids doing, or you wouldn't want people around you doing. That's what they're going to end up being, and that's why it is important being around the right people and making sure that you're, obviously like family is like that's something that you don't always have control over, but like as long as you can like kind of create an environment where your family is going to help you, hopefully, and is going to support you, then you're setting yourself up in that way. But then you have to go on your own and then create a social circle yourself. And that's I think that's the biggest thing that I realized with doing this whole kind of pursuit is like, gotta hang out with quality people.
100%.
People that are killing it. If I want to kill it, I need to hang out with people that are killing it.
Yeah, and killing is not money. You got to.
It's not money.
This is a very important point.
But it's like
it's success and passion are measured on different scales than wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
the hardest thing for these kids to realize too.
Yeah.
Say you're 18, you're just starting out. Oh, I got paid $50 for a gig, blah, blah, blah. It's your first gig, dude.
Yeah.
Like, don't beat yourself down. You're already losing.
Yeah.
You're already going down.
Yeah.
Think about how you feel. Think about like your work ethic that you put into it.
Yeah.
Think about where it could go.
Where it could go.
Yeah.
This is like the elementary school near me does the power of yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, there's The Secret, there's like Landmark Forum, like there's all these places that are these mental kind of strength, build up self-confidence things. And they all say the same thing. It's be a good dude or dudette or whatever, and try. And when you try, you have to learn from it. If you fail, you have to learn from it. If you succeed, let's do more of that.
Yeah.
The biggest thing and the hardest thing for people, and this is what I see, is that they try and they fail and they stop.
Yeah.
Or they succeed, they take it for granted, and then they stop.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to have this zoom out perspective of saying, I just did this piece, I just did this piece. Here's the Italian thing talking about
Yeah.
They just did this piece, you just did this piece, but where is this going?
Yeah.
So for you, you didn't think that this podcast would be a thing. Like for you, this is only 4 years you've been doing photography.
Yeah.
You have to have such an open mind and accept all the possibilities of the universe, because the second you close it off, it like the power of your mind is so strong that it will not.
And it's like, it's so interesting. And like talking on the mental side of things, we had my friend also named Alex that was on the podcast previously.
Right.
He does music. He's from the Boston area, and he attributed this like amazing, quote. I don't know where he got it from, but it's like you have to kind of in your way train your mind to like think in that way. Like you think, okay, I'm gonna fail here, but that's good. Versus like I think a lot of kids are conditioned to be in, like I think myself in some ways I was like that too, to like think failure is bad. Avoid failure. Avoid failure. That's like the exact opposite of what you should do.
Failing. You don't learn from doing right.
You should fail as much as possible, as big as possible.
100%.
As long as you're not being completely reckless and you're just like not
hurting anybody.
You're not hurting anyone. You're not like getting thrown in like in jail or something.
Yeah, no crimes, kids.
But like you should fail, because even those ones, as long like that'll probably the bigger ones will teach you even more.
True. If you can learn from it, though.
If you can learn from it,
you got to learn from the failures. You can't just fail. You have
to learn every time. And just learn and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. And if that changes your whole mindset about the whole thing, and then all of a sudden it's not a big deal anymore when you do fail, quote unquote fail. It's like, okay, like I'm getting closer. Like I'm marching towards the mountain, just step by step.
Yeah.
And that's like that is the point. Like that's when you read an interesting biography or you watch a documentary about someone's life. If it was all up,
that's a boring show.
That's shit.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I say to every kid whenever I go visit. I say like I work in wire because when I fail, I can unbend it.
Yeah,
that's like one of my classic things, which is like such a stupid dad
No, it's
pun.
not. That's fucking sick.
But it's like you like when, not if. When I fail, when the client changes their mind, when the wire snaps and the tree's a different shape, and when I but there's no Google Doc of how to do exactly what I do every day. Just like you guys. When you fail, you got to be flexible.
Right.
Change is inevitable. I mean, that's like how many stupid little calendar kittens hanging in there on the side of the wall. Posters can we get?
Yeah.
But like they are there for a reason. And if you can you can translate it and communicate it to yourself however you want. Like you can look at a poster, you can look at a calendar, you can do whatever. But at the end of the day, you're your boss of your own life. Whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work for anybody else.
Yeah.
And if you can just acknowledge that and hold that power, whether you're whatever gender, whatever job, whatever it is, that's the number one thing. Because the best you can be is going to affect everybody else.
Right. I was going to say that I feel like a lot of what you guys are saying about like getting out and networking and stuff like that and going out and talking to people, but like sometimes like you're the awkward person or you don't have a great personality or like it's just not like, or like these are all like things that are in your head and they're going to stay in your head until you go out and do those things.
Right.
And so like, I think some of us were fortunate enough that that maybe we're really good talkers growing up, or like we always knew how to convince people growing up, or we always knew how to sell someone a pencil or something like that.
Liars.
Yeah, good liars.
Sell a pencil.
Michigan
is wild, guys.
Yo, this is a Ticonderoga number 2.
I can sell you a pencil. I can sell you a pencil.
The triangle big ones, or the
I got a black
hexagonal?
one too.
It's all about the graphite, you know what I'm saying? So like,
yo, that's a Sanford. That didn't.
but it's like getting out there. You know what I'm saying? Like you're only gonna know until you get out there,
100%.
and maybe at first it's gonna be like an awkward thing. But like I knew so many people who like had no friends, or they were in a relationship for like 6 years from like high school, and then they had to break up, and so like, what am I gonna do now? Because whatever. But then then all of a sudden they're singing like at like a party or something like that, and they're like making all these friends and everything like that, because it wasn't easy, but they did it, and now they have a huge network of friends because they decided to like get out there. Because like otherwise, like, because I think well, I always try and think about who's listening, and some people are listening and going like, well, yeah, it's easy for you because you're a good schmoozer, or you're a good this, or you're good that. It's like, but you're only going to become that if you go out and do it, and you're not going to become that if you sit there and don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's sitting like, yourself complaining about it probably isn't the
best.
Yeah.
There maybe are like, there's certain times when you have like a certain skill or attribute that is helpful, and then you can develop that further.
Yeah.
But like,
some are built from the ground up.
Even people that it's a developed thing. Like being able to talk like, maybe you're kind of like lean towards that.
Yeah.
And that's maybe an advantage in that arena, but it still needs to be developed and honed. Otherwise, it's going to be blabbing about nonsense.
I thought I was like the shit at being a portrait photographer. I was like, I've always been great at talking to people. I've always been good at working with people, at telling people directions or teaching people and stuff like that. So this is my calling. Like, if any photography, like, it started with people, and I was like, after a while, I was like, I'm a portrait. Like, started to become myself a portrait photographer. Yeah. But I didn't know shit, and I fucking sucked at it, and I went through a lot of awkward humps and bumps, being like, I don't know where. I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I should have said this, or should have whatever. Thinking like, so like I had to learn over time, oh shit, that was kind of stepping on toes when I asked them to do that. Or maybe I should never, like, we should always come, if we're doing a shoot outside and the girl's stripping down and it's like 30 degrees out, then we should always bring a jacket and always have the car running. Like, you know, these things that you prepare for, you know.
You know me too. I'm like the number one PA ever.
Yeah.
I love, like, I hate being in front of a camera, but when it comes to, I think my parents, like, just taught me, like, how to, like, be a good host.
Yeah.
For me,
I've definitely a good host.
I've been on so many shoots where it's, like, water bottles, granola bars, blankets in the car already.
Boom.
I love, like, hair, makeup, everything. Like, I just love the behind the scenes, too, because I can respect the process, but also... when the artists are you guys doing that stuff, I like being around it to learn, but also, like, if I can help in another way, like, that's just the way I am. Yeah. So if you ever need a PA, you let me know, dude. I'm like,
I will.
Uber driver. I've driven to a shoot with everybody in the back. Like, we literally rented a truck just to go, and I was, like, literally just a limo driver.
Fuck yeah.
Because they were all editing and doing stuff on the way there. Nobody wants to drive. Like, that's the least, like, artistic part.
Yeah.
But I love the whole process.
I feel it, man.
Number one.
I love it.
You down to wrap this up?
Yeah, this has been an awesome conversation. Ryan, thank you.
My pleasure.
For coming out and just dropping in with us.
One of many.
Yeah, we're gonna have a part 2, guaranteed. I mean, we could talk for 4 hours.
Hell yeah.
But you know, we're gonna have respect for the listeners, and we know you guys got shit to do. You got networking to do.
They're
Get
all
out
driving
there.
to their job right now, dude.
Yeah.
Listening in the car. Stop texting and driving.
For sure.
All right, guys.
You want to plug your IGs below?
Sure, yeah. Wire by Ryan. Everything that I do is Wire by Ryan.
Cool.
Instagram, website, Facebook. I'm just super pumped to be here, and I'm pumped for everything going on.
Fuck yeah. We'll drop all the links below, and thanks, guys, for tuning in to Breaking Boundaries Podcast.
Woo. Peace out, guys.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Breaking Boundaries Podcast. We appreciate every listener out there, and we hope that we can continue to provide value and inspiration as you move forward in your lives. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, rate and review, as that helps us out as we strive to make the podcast bigger and reach more people across more platforms. If there's anything we can do to improve the podcast, or if there's any suggestions, please don't hesitate to let us know. We're here for you. Thank you for listening, and continue to break your boundaries.